to really gain the advantage then from all of this instrumentation and interconnectedness, you do need to become more intelligent. You do need to take advantage of that information, and you need to make sure it's consistent, it's correct, it's cleansed, you can trust it. All the things that the people on the video said, whether it was Ross. There is also huge volumes. The world is becoming digitized. When you look at what's there today, studies estimate 180 exabytes. The same studies estimate that all of you in aggregate generate another 50 to 60 exabytes a year. That's a huge volume coming at you. There's variety, not just numerical data, but email, documents, all forms of unstructured data that are useful for your enterprises. And the velocity of decision making, the days of annual cycles are gone. The days of quarterly cycles are gone. We are expected to react to our business within minutes, hours. In the morning you heard Eli Tahari talk about reacting within 5 minutes to what's going on in their stores. You hear companies like Chevron react to instrumenting every one of their pipelines. We hear water systems. Frank talked about the New York City Fire Department. They're going to be monitoring 800 plus buildings also in real time. All of this is causing huge pressures upon your platforms, upon your infrastructures. There's also blind spots. 1 in 3 managers make decisions without having the information they need. Not that any one of us has ever been there, right? People spend hours, 2 hours a day looking for information. It's frustrating. You know where it is, but you nevertheless have to go look for it because it's not in any one place. There are fragments here, there are fragments there. You've got to pull it all together, whether through spreadsheets, email, documents, or just yellow stickies. You can't predict. Instead of crystal ball gazing, can you actually predict what's going to be done? The what ifs that were talked about this morning. These are the issues that are vital to gain strategic advantage for any enterprise. So what are leaders doing? You heard us talk about our CIO studies where we say organizations that can take advantage of information are 2.5 times more likely to be successful or leading compared to their peers who don't take advantage of it are likely to be at the bottom of the strategic pile. So leaders are invested. They want accurate information. Why does that question even come up? Because information today is scattered across myriad silos, across the tens of business processes that you use to run your enterprise today. People need information to be complete. You get it from one system and it includes perhaps names and customers. Another one contains their orders. A third one has their complaints. A fourth one has contact information. You need it to be complete. It needs to be in context. You don't want a whole corpus of information thrown at you. What you need is in context. Just give me what I need to make that decision. Don't give it all to me. And of course, it's got to be in a form that you can begin to derive insight from it. The word analytics is used to capture what we mean of the process of capturing insight. The value. You can increase your speed to market. If you knew your supply chain, if you knew where your products were, if you knew which distributors were enabled, if you knew which countries you wanted to go to, it can dramatically increase your speed to market. You look at creating a new application inside of going after a segment of your customers. If you had access to your information and it was accurate, it was complete, you can reduce your development time for the new initiative by 50% or more. And you can increase productivity of your people because they don't have to redo, they don't have to think again of the consistency of the information, of the definitions of the information, of where to go get it from, etc. How do we go and enable all of these? We believe that one has to do it by investing in an information platform. It's not just one capability. You begin with warehousing, bring the information together, cleansed, accurate, complete. You look at it in domain-specific ways. Can I get a single view of my customer? Can I get a single view of my products? Can I get a single view of my supply chain? Putting those domains together is master data management. Now you put those together, you now need to, of course, feed them with the information coming from everywhere. That's the information server. Whether it's federated, whether it's brought to one place, whether it's transformed, whether it's moved. Now you do all this, but there's a life cycle. You don't just do it once and then stop, because if you do it once, 6 months later this is all irrelevant. You've got to maintain the life cycle of doing it, and that's done through the foundation tools. It's done by managing the definition, by using metadata to understand what's happening, by leveraging governance across the life cycle, all the way from definition to sunsetting. Putting it all together is what allows us the ability to invest in these platforms. Now, rather than hearing me talk a tremendous amount about our platform and about the capabilities, 3 of our clients have agreed about your enterprises and yourself. So Brent, Cardinal Health.
Yeah, Cardinal Health is a $99 billion pharmaceutical and medical wholesale distributor. We actually make about 50,000 deliveries to 40,000 customers every day. We manufacture and deliver products used in about 50% or more of the surgeries in 90% of the hospitals in the U.S.
Quite a size, quite some heft there.
Yeah.
So Fred, it says you work for the federal government.
Work with the National Security Agency, which is one of the agencies under the Department of Defense. And of course our mission is well known and reported, where we're trying to do signals intelligence and information assurance to help protect the communications of the country. Global enterprise, we have people around the world, of course, and we're trying to do the best we can to leverage technology to do it better.
That's amazing, protecting 350 million people and more. And so, Roger, tell us a little bit about Sun Life.
Sun Life Financial is one of the top 5 life cos in North America. 1 in 5 Canadians is covered by Sun Life, and we're number 1 or number 2 in every business segment within Canada.
Thanks. So Brent, coming back to you. So at the size, you said 50,000 deliveries, to 40,000 targets, etc. So what are some of the problems that your enterprises face, and what are some of the approaches you're using to tackle them?
So we have data everywhere, like a lot of you, and it was actually last year at IOD that we left there saying, we have so many siloed tools and so many siloed systems. We're an IT shop. We should be delivering business solutions. Why are we in IT spending 25 cents to 50 cents on every dollar just integrating all of these tools? So at that point, we took a step back and made a conscious effort to actually invest in the InfoSphere suite to actually get a better information foundation that we could help the business solve some of their problems.
And are you seeing a return on some of that investment? Are you seeing that there's some value back in linking business, etc., onto your initiatives?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing some benefit on the IT side as well as the business side. So on the IT side, we're seeing that tight integration paying off both from a technology and a people perspective. So it's really neat to see the technology, to see how someone like in the DBA organization, a modeler, can be using InfoSphere Data Architect, do some modeling, store the data in the metadata server, and then have the ETL organization actually use the same metadata repository, the business analysts using the same tools. So we're getting tight integration with that technology. And for example, the integration team alone does about $6 million worth of ETL work, and we're finding that by automating and working smarter, that we can shave about 30% of that off the top.
So there's tangible ROI, it looks like.
And on the people integration, we're seeing people get excited about it and this shared vision and really a culture change on the IT side around how to treat data. So that's pretty exciting as well.
It's a really good story. So you're achieving a cultural transformation as well, with people beginning to achieve that consistency of definition.
Right. And on the business side, what we're finding there is we're using the information agenda and some of the methodology there. We're actually partnering with our business, trying to understand what their pain points are and what their key initiative are, so that we can actually work with them to, one, really build this information foundation so we're not treating each project like a silo, and two, really come up with a taxonomy around the language so we're all talking about the same thing when we're talking about a business term. That's one of the problems that we face today.
Very good. So Fred, coming to you. So what kind of issues does your agency face, and what approaches are you taking to address some of them?
Well, our specific project within the agency caused us to look at many of our internal data sets, which for most agencies, I've heard it described dozens of times today, many stovepipes. And so we had to go identify the right data sets within. We had to figure out what type of ETL, what type of transformation and so forth would need to be done. We also had an issue with volume of data. What we were striving for was to get the right data to the right people at the right time. And that became really a thrust for us. And so we looked around the public sector to do some modeling after businesses that have successfully deployed tools, and turn that inward on ourselves and see if we couldn't do it better. And I would say that we have, and productivity is up. Certainly the profitability that some of my peers here have had, it's not something that our agency strives for, with trying to be profitable. I'm not sure where government is profitable, but in the protection of people.
So did you manage to achieve some of the business goals of the original project as you went?
Absolutely we have over the past few years, and in fact we were very honored last year to be one of the IOD award winners here. That spurred us on to now come up with a project that is going to try and take our successes and push them to other government agencies.
Excellent. So, Roger, so you talked about Sun Life, a top insurer, other financial services also. What were some of the problems that your enterprise is facing?
So, what's interesting is if we saw Ambrose's chart this morning, at the foundational part, we realized that information lifecycle management was a critical component. Our view was that we're an information-driven organization. We're going to grow. Information is going to multiply, and we were experiencing 100% growth in the organization. So our key focus was how do we make sure that we can deliver on the promise of information-led transformation and manage to keep that cost still very interesting to deliver on that. So we jumped into the information lifecycle management, we built that foundation, we invested in the Optum tool suite, and we delivered a cradle-to-grave strategy around managing our information. Not only in archiving and making sure that we get rid of data over time, but in an active aging of that information so we can remove older data from the active environments. And so that's yielded tremendous returns in terms of performance, in terms of people, reduced people costs, and storage costs, hardware storage costs, CPU licensing costs. So in our organizations, we're seeing some phenomenal returns, almost $7 million over 5 years in benefits. And that's helping to drive the upper part of the strategy, which is invest in BI, invest in additional technology so we can drive that information-led transformation.
So you're achieving this by essentially taking out from your production systems data which is not relevant?
Exactly. So Sun Life has 2,400 applications and 10,000 databases. We have that on 4 major DBMSs, or database management systems. So our key strategy was how do we manage all that? Which solution is out there to cut across all these platforms? Optum was the ideal fit for us. It handles DB2, it handles IMS, It handles Oracle, it handles SQL. So from our perspective, what we were able to do was address all those platforms and remove not only all the archive data, but create an active and a less active environment.
Great. So, Fred, coming back to you. So we talked about how we were using some of these technologies to go across the stovepipes to address some of the issues. When we were talking earlier, though, you probably were a little bit different than your colleagues. You were actually looking for certain kinds of information or individuals rather than just saving cost.
Absolutely. Some of the tools that we've been able to deploy, including the EAS suite of tools to do some entity analytics, has permitted us to really begin to do perpetual analytics, where we have incoming data each evening that would find other data already in our repository, and instead of our analysts having to go search for data, the data finds data and causes them to have to look at it. That is a very economical way for us to work across large data sets streaming in, and it permits an average analyst to do many times the work that they would previously have been able to accomplish. We've also deployed, amongst our tools, we use Cognos and Infosphere. We've been a long-time partner with SPSS, which is now an IBM company as well. And I'm not going to tell you some of the other companies we do business with, because over the past 5 years you've bought 4 or 5 of those companies already, so I'll hold there.
Maybe great minds think alike.
Yeah.
Use them and we think of them. But it sounds like, so this is quite a benefit. So not only is it helping you achieve your business goal, but you also talked about that it actually enhanced productivity, because you said data's finding the data, not analysts firing off queries.
That's been a big help, and I think that in the end, not only does it allow us to do our business smarter, but it allows us to work with other agencies in making us all more secure.
Great. So, Brent, you're in some sense in the healthcare industry, albeit as a supplier. So information is certainly critical there, because all of us want to have the right things done to us when we deal with the healthcare industry. So as you're going about the transformation you're describing, is trusted information of great significance in your industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a patient safety perspective, securing the supply chain is very important to us, as well as fulfilling our obligations to another 3-letter acronym government agency, the DEA. So we're focused on that. And then there's also the aspect, this morning we talked about data is everywhere and instrumenting it. So how do we actually track all the touch points of the supply chain, from the manufacturer all the way to delivery of pharmaceuticals to the pharmacy? So we're implementing Infosphere traceability server for that as well. And if I can put a plug in, I think one of my colleagues tomorrow morning in the same room at 8:15 will be talking in more detail about that.
Okay, excellent. So when I think about what you're saying, so Roger, you're using a number of these tools, the Optum tools, to really take cost out of your operational environment, 2,400 applications, 10,000 database instances, so clearly the scale of an issue, and you're then able to return that back as profit to the enterprise. And Fred, right, I mean, profit's not the right term, but it's hard to put a value on protecting citizens. Is there also a cultural transformation that you're achieving? Are people coming together because of these solutions across the stovepipes and the agencies that you work with?
Yes, certainly there is. I don't want to say it's a gender gap, but at times there probably is a gender gap with information. And I think that we're starting to bridge that. I think some of our successes and being named one of the centers of excellence for looking at our security type of information has helped us to, as the signs here say, lead the way. We have other agencies that are mirroring our protocol, and I think it is changing minds. I think success has a way of doing that.
That's good to hear. So when you look at this, I mean, across different industries, government, across financial, across healthcare, we're hearing how really this principle of using information as a strategic asset, if I can use that term, is really helping you all transform your enterprises. and become more profitable or more effective in the process. I'd like to thank our panelists. Thank you guys very much for sharing your story.